Hey everybody, this is TJR. Some years back, I posted a video entitled CD versus Vinyl. In this video, I discussed my thoughts on this particular rather heated format war, at least heated if you listen to the internet, and also described my personal experiences comparing these two formats back to back. Like a lot of people who grew up during the vinyl era, there was a period in my lifetime, in my musical journey, where I felt that vinyl was a dead format and one that no one should ever return to. But a little over 10 years ago, there was a moment in my life, in my musical journey, and there was one particular album that I'm going to talk about that completely changed how I felt about vinyl as a format. It was back in 2009, and I had just read Sean Kernan's 2009 article entitled Tears of Rage, which outlined the author's discovery of the loudness wars. In the article, Sean Kernan, who was a huge Bob Dylan fan, expressed his disappointment with Bob Dylan's latest album entitled Modern Times, or perhaps I should say Bob Dylan's latest CD entitled Modern Times, and he couldn't understand why. The album's songwriting and performance told him that he should like this album. There was nothing wrong with the performance. There was nothing wrong with the songwriting. But there was just something missing that he couldn't put his finger on. Something that made the music sound completely uninspired and completely boring. Then he discovered that since the early part of the 20th century, record labels had begun a process of over-compressing the audio on current CD releases to make them sound louder. Now, in case you're not familiar with what compression is an audio effects plugin that many recording engineers will use. In fact, I should say all recording engineers will use. Basically, compression reduces the dynamic range of your recording by bringing down the level of the loudest parts, meaning the loud and quiet parts are now closer together in volume. Now, I should state that there is nothing wrong with using compression in a recording. Compression is a tool that has been in use for decades, well before the loudness wars. But if you overcompress a record too much, the quieter parts of an album sound as loud as the loudest parts. And pretty soon you lose all of the emotion of the original performance, and in return, you get boring loudness. For more information, I will leave a link to the article, Tears of Rage, and also an excellent YouTube video that demonstrates what overcompression does. After reading this, suddenly it began to dawn on me why so much of the rock albums that I was hearing at that time on CD were sounding so boring, so lifeless, providing no emotional catharsis in the way that recordings prior to the loudness war had. The author of the article, Tears of Rage, said that he then picked up Modern Times on vinyl, put the needle on the record, and within seconds, he could feel a chill go up his spine as he listened to it. All the dynamic range that was missing on the CD was there on the vinyl recording. Now, I should mention that prior to reading Sean Kernan's article, I actually had recently purchased a Sony USB turntable. However, I didn't purchase this turntable so that I could listen to records. I purchased it so that I could finally get rid of records. I wanted to digitize old vinyl records that I still had lying around from before the digital era. These were albums that were not available on CD, so I didn't get rid of them. The goal was to digitize the vinyl so that I could at long last import this music into my iTunes, make a full quality WAV file copy on CD, and then ditch the vinyl. And that's what I was doing at that point in my life. And for this reason, I had no turntable speakers. But after reading Tears of Outrage, I began to occasionally pick up a vinyl copy of an album by an artist whose CD release had disappointed me, and then make a back-to-back comparison between the two. Now, it's important that you know the process that I used at this time. Since I had no turntable speakers, I would digitize the vinyl, burn a full quality CD of the audio file, and then import my digitization into my iTunes at the same sampling rate as the CD version. So yeah, I was not making my comparison by playing the vinyl and then playing the CD. I was making my comparison by A-Bing back and forth my imports into my iTunes. Now you may be saying to yourself, well, wait, if you digitized the vinyl, didn't you lose what was good about the vinyl? My personal opinion is no, I didn't. Because more times than not, I could definitely hear the difference between my import of the CD versus my import of my vinyl digitization. Now, true, my import of the vinyl record was always quieter. This is simply because it wasn't as overcompressed like the CD was. But in exchange, I could feel the emotion of the recorded musical performance that I couldn't hear on an overcompressed CD. And I could always turn up the volume of the vinyl version to equal the volume of the CD version if ever I wanted to. So then something occurred to me. Would I hear any difference with a current album release that I already liked and enjoyed on CD? Back in 2009, I was a huge fan of the album The Hazards of Love by the Decemberists. The Hazards of Love, by the way, is an excellent concept album, and I think it rivals some of the best concept albums of the classic rock era. I bought this album initially on CD, thought it sounded excellent. I loved it. There was really no reason to compare it to vinyl, in my opinion, but I decided to do it anyways. So I got a copy of it on vinyl, and I used the exact same procedure that I just mentioned earlier. I was listening to track 2, The Hazards of Love 1, Prettiest Whistles Won't Wrestle the Thistles Undone. Yes, that's the actual track name. There is a keyboard part in this song that I would describe as textural, some random electric piano notes that convey a chime-like tone. And I immediately felt something present in my vinyl versus CD import. Now, at first I thought it might just be me and that maybe I wasn't being objective enough. So I asked my partner to sit in the car, because it's a quiet area, and listen with me. She noticed it in seconds, and she gave me the following verbal comparison. On the CD version, she said, I feel those chime-like tones are floating around me as I listen. But when you play the vinyl digital version, it feels like those chime tones are moving through me. And this is exactly what I had felt too. From that moment on, my thoughts on vinyl were changed, and I upgraded my turntable and got some speakers so that I could listen to vinyl in its pure form. Now, I want to close by saying that in my original CD versus vinyl video, I mentioned that I still don't believe there is a definitive answer to the CD versus vinyl debate, and I still don't really know if there is a definitive answer. In that video, I maintained that some albums sound better on CD and some on vinyl, and for some, there is no difference. I still believe that. I think all these formats have their place, CD, vinyl, and streaming. But this was the moment that forever changed how I thought about vinyl as a format. It began a deeper exploration of vinyl for me and a deeper appreciation for a format that I had personally considered to be dead. This is TJR. If you're a vinyl enthusiast, was there a particular album or experience that changed how you felt about vinyl, or were you always a vinyl enthusiast? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to know what you have to say. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please be sure to click like, click subscribe, and smash the bell notification icon so you can know when I release new videos. We're getting very close to 20,000 subscribers, so please help me reach that goal. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.